The Chris Johnston Show.
Let's go!
Your number one destination for a behind-the-scenes look at the game of hockey.
Is this thing on?
Here's NHL insider Chris Johnston and host Julian and McKenzie.
Welcome to our Ask CJ episode, and also Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Ho, ho.
Very festive of you, Santa CJ.
Yeah, I invested in an upgraded Santa hat this year.
How much did you spend on that hat?
Too much. I ordered it from something called the Santa Shop, and literally when I opened it, there was a handwritten note, and it was like from Santa's elves or something. Like, thank you for. Anyway,
you ordering designer Santa hats?
I wouldn't say it was designer, but I got a big melon. This is the truth, and most of the Santa hats I've had, I've been getting from like the dollar store, and they end up like not fitting my head, making me itchy. Anyway, I was like, I like wearing a Santa hat this time of year. And so I upgraded.
Next year we do this. You need I want to see you wear like the full Santa costume. Do you have a Santa suit?
No, but I would very much. I think I'm trending towards like being a future Santa, like with this beard.
Yes.
Like I think there's definitely a world where I could be like, I'm going to add a piece each year. So I started with the baller Santa hat, and I'm going to eventually work my way up to a suit.
5'7" Santa CJ walking around Casa Johnston, all the nieces and nephews and your kid on your lap. I can't wait for that visual in Christmas 2026.
Yeah, man. Great. So anyway, Merry Christmas to you and your family, bud. Good to see you.
Yes, likewise. And to you all watching and listening, enjoying Christmas time, thank you for spending part of your holiday with us. And thank you for sending us questions to go through for today's episode. Let's start with this first one.
It's kind of weird getting to days when there's no games on the schedule.
I don't even know what day it is.
I know. Well, that's everyone's at that point, but it's like, we got the NFL games going, NBA games are going, but I like personally, like selfishly, I like that the NHL takes that 3-day break, 24th, 25th, 26th, because I think lots of people working in and around the sport deserve some time off with their families, but it's kind of weird that like the season just stops. Yeah,
like a freeze of some sort.
Yeah, we got lots of freezes this year. You got the holiday roster freeze. You've got an Olympic trade deadline freeze. Anyway, get to the question. I'm just saying it's a funny time of year. Like you don't play games for a couple of days and already forget there's a league or something.
Yeah, you forget you have a job or something. Anyway, this first question, their username, I have to say, at first I thought it was just like V_V, but it seems like it's just an emoji or like a face or something. So I'll just say a face. What is your one holiday treat you absolutely have to have every year? And what is one holiday activity you need to participate in?
I always get the skates on around Christmas time. It's not always on the 25th. Like a lot of families, we split time between my partner Lindsay's side and my side. So the dates vary, but somewhere the week of Christmas, call it. I always get on my skates and get out to work off some of that turkey and stuffing and everything else, chocolate and whatever else has gone into my body. But it's always been a fun, hockey is a big part of my life. And it's even an activity that in our family, like my dad at his age is often getting on skates a little bit, and all the young ones are out there too. So we usually do some kind of family type of skate. So I would say that's probably my favorite at this point, holiday tradition. Like when I was a kid, I obviously had different traditions around like presents and stuff like that. But, as I've gotten older, that stuff really doesn't interest me that much. In terms of a holiday treat, this may not be the spirit of the question, but Christmas morning is usually a champagne and orange juice kind of thing at my house.
Mimosa.
And that actually started with my mom, my late mother. But I always remember because it was such a, you'd never see my parents drink champagne in the morning, except for on Christmas morning. My mom would usually have a little champagne going. And that's something that actually Lindsay's family does too, like not anything connected to mine. And so, that's probably like a treat that I enjoy. Like I don't really have a sweet tooth. So it's not like, there's not like one type of candy that I have to have or one, I heard the other day people going on about how much they love turtles and they just like mainline turtles over the Christmas holiday. I don't have the same affinity for treats like a dessert, but I certainly don't start many days with a champagne and orange juice, but usually the 25th I do.
I love that tradition. That sounds really awesome. I don't really have turtles that much. You mean the chocolate, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I might have had that once.
They're good. Like they're good. That's the thing. Like I'm not hating on turtles. I'm just saying, like if you had them at your house and offered me one, and I was feeling like it, I might take one. But I don't go buy the box and like, you know what I mean.
I know what box of chocolate you'd probably buy instead.
Well, we're not even, dude. This is a loving day.
I did not bring that up to start a fight. I just brought that up because I want to appease you.
Okay. What about you? Any traditions or treats that kind of like mark your holiday?
Yeah, like I usually spend a lot of time just with fam. In recent years, it's been interesting because my parents will go to the Caribbean, usually go to Trinidad and Tobago. So my dad can be with his mom. And like I've ended up having to like FaceTime my parents on Christmas Day the last few years. But the cool thing is my grandma on my mom's side still lives in Montreal. So I usually spend time with her. My sisters are usually still around too. So I hang out with them. Yeah. And even yesterday, like it was a great day. I got the opportunity to go to my grandma's for breakfast. And then I went to my aunt's house and hung out with her family, my cousins, and obviously my sisters and my grandma were there with me. So we do some variation of that, whether it's all of us in town or not. Just having that family time spent. In previous years, we've had like different family members come over and we'll either go to their houses too. Like I just having that time where you're able to be around your loved ones in any capacity, like that always means a lot. And in terms of holiday treat, I don't do this as much anymore, but when I was growing up, my church every year would do these like cookie dough orders. Like we'd have this kind of fundraising thing going on. Yeah. And I would always beg my mom to order this like tub of white macadamia nut cookie dough. And we'd get it. And at Christmas every year, it was for a couple years anyway, we would have white macadamia nut cookies. So that was
like, would you actually make the cookies or we just eat the dough? Well, I don't know. I mean,
no, but it's a fair question. It's a very valid question. We would make the cookies.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure cookie dough, I think is like, I get why people eat cookie dough as it is. Cookie dough ice cream obviously is very good, but like, I want the cookie. Like I want it. Like I'd much rather have that. You dump that in some milk or you leave it out for Santa for Christmas Day. That's just a treat I just associate with Christmas. So yeah, that's my answer.
I love that we got through a treat segment and we didn't even bicker about one another's answers for taste and food. I mean, that's the sign of growth, my friend.
It's also the sign of Christmas time too. Peace and goodwill.
Peace and love.
Peace and love and goodwill to each other as podcast partners. Next question. I mean, there's going to be a mixture of Christmas questions and non-Christmas
Yeah, that's
questions,
fine.
But the Beard Man wants to know, which team is the hardest to speculate and get an inside on? And they use Lou Lamoriello as an example, not telling anyone anything trade-wise.
You know, the Detroit Red Wings, I think Steve Yzerman has a little bit of old school in him, is probably the answer right now. I mean, it's not the same. You know, it's funny because like the whole Lou Lamoriello thing, I almost feel like a blown out of proportion. Like Lou was a very, very nice man. He just didn't really play that game, right? He didn't play the whatever you want to call it, speculation, rumor, gossip game. You know, I think that Detroit might be the current leader. I mean, you know, but there's a bunch. Let's face it. Like times, I think there's definitely a group of teams that keep their cards pretty close to the vest. You know, I think Julian Breezeball does that a little bit in Tampa at times. You know, but there's, I mean, it's all well and good. It's all fine. I mean, look, if it was easy, it's not easy anywhere, is what I'll say. But you know, much like the Lamoriello era, everyone is really, really good to deal with. And I think there's just a different level of comfort about, you know, how much is shared publicly or not.
I wonder if the way you answered it, I guess kind of answered my follow-up question, which is like less so much the team, more so the GM. But those are some really interesting answers.
And I guess it's two ways, right? Like obviously the GM at times is the source of information, but it's not the only one, right? Like each front office has a number of members. And I think some GMs are more comfortable or not with those people speaking a little bit too about what's going on with their team. And I think that was the other thing about Lou is I think he wanted everybody to kind of like the message was going to come from him, if that made sense. Like and so I think it was twofold with him that way. And so, I think, look, some teams care, some teams don't. I mean, you saw that big Quinn Hughes trade that just went down. Like Bill Guerin probably did. I'm not kidding. He might have done 15 interviews the week after that trade went down. I don't know if you noticed. Like every time I looked at social media, he was like doing another interview on my IG somewhere. And so like that's an example. And I'm not saying the Wild are leaking lots of information, but they're quite open as a front office, for example, to talk about what's going on. So there's just different comfort levels, I think, around the league. I mean, ultimately, the reason teams should want to talk, I would argue, if anyone wants to think about this, is you're communicating with your customers, right? You're letting people know what you're doing, what you're thinking, how you're reacting to things going on, and that can be well done depending on, I guess, what's going on around your team.
Love that. Let's get to this question from Evan. Question for CJ. As someone who always seems to be level-headed regarding controversial subjects, is that me? The referencing you. It's a very glowing endorsement of yourself. Are you hearing frustration from people around the league regarding the Department of Player Safety and the general performance of officiating this year?
I have not. I'm trying to think. I haven't heard anything about officiating. Now, keep in mind, officiating, it really goes under the microscope in the second half of the season and the playoffs.
Yes.
I'm not saying on any given night there might not be someone frustrated with a referee, but like I haven't heard anything outside what I would call the usual range with that. I have heard a little more grumbling about player safety. I think there's just like some confusion out there about it. And obviously there's one notable set of incidents that have happened between the Lightning and the Panthers. And, clearly the Lightning were not happy at all that Seth Jones escaped the suspension for, basically the forearm to the head of Brandon Hagel in their last game. Ironically, they're playing December 27th here. They're playing again. And so maybe this will become a topic again. But I think there's just some confusion about what is or isn't suspendable hit, those types of things. The one thing I've always said about player safety, though, I think we will argue about it no matter who's running the department, no matter what the incidents are, no matter who the teams are. It's impossible. It would be impossible to do that job and have everything be exactly the same. I just think, each game is a little bit like a snowflake. Like there's a little difference with each hit and the circumstances of each thing that happens. And yet it's easy to say, well, this was 2 games, so why wasn't this 2 games? I think we'll be having this discussion forevermore, Julian. So I would say, yes, there is a little bit of, grumbling out there about it. But I also think, let's revisit this in 2026 Christmas or 2027. Like, I think it's going to be the same conversation we're having down the road. It just feels like it was no different no matter who's run the show, right? Like back when Brian Burke ran it and Coley Campbell, right? You had Brendan Shanahan, you had Stefan Quintel ran it. I just think it's an impossible job. I'm not excusing them I'm not saying they don't make mistakes, like anyone else or that they have judgments that I don't always agree with, but it's a hard job. It's hard to keep everybody happy.
It's just doomed to find a consistent standard that works for everybody. Because that's all we essentially want from these decisions and judgments. But like, I don't know. To your point, I don't know if we'll ever really get to it. I hope we do. And maybe there is a way to do it, but I don't know. I'm starting to lose faith in that. Anyway.
Don't lose faith, buddy. This is a time for faith.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Hopefulness reigns eternal on the Chris Johnston Show. Flex Luther wants to know, from a previous episode of the show, you mentioned going out for 2 great meals while in Colorado Springs. As a proud alumni of Colorado College, shout out to my boy Jacob Slavin, I must ask where you went, and did you stop by Josh and John's for the best ice cream west of the Mississippi?
My goodness. This is advice coming too late. Because I didn't go to Josh and John's, but it sounds like the kind of place I would have liked.
You're an ice cream guy.
What's that? Oh, I'm an ice cream guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an ice cream guy.
What's your favorite type of ice cream?
Oh, I can't pick.
Are you like a Neapolitan type of guy?
I mean, I would be. I haven't had that since I was a kid, probably, but I would like it. I mean,
Ben & Jerry's?
I never have it at home because I can't trust myself, essentially. So, like, I only ever get ice cream out, usually, obviously, in the summertime.
Yeah.
So I don't choose only one flavor. It's like I could have almost anything. I like it all.
Oh my God. So you say in the summertime, so you're not one of those weird people who, I shouldn't say weird. Let me not cast judgment. How do you feel about having ice cream outside in the wintertime? Because there are people who will go out of their way to do it.
I wouldn't eat it outside in the winter. I would eat ice cream in the wintertime in my house if it was there. As I said,
cooler heads prevail.
I just said, I just don't buy it because I couldn't. It's sort of like I can't really keep peanut butter in the house because I would just eat it constantly. And the same goes for ice cream. So, anyway, we're off topic. I don't actually remember the names of the places I ate. I stayed at the Broadmoor, which is where the meetings were held. And I had a couple meals on the premises there. They had 7 or 8 restaurants, and I don't recall the names off the top of my head. But I got to say, I loved Colorado Springs. I literally would go back. Like, I'm not just saying that. Like, I was actually there, obviously, on a work trip, but I was thinking, personally, I would go back. I'd love to explore the area more. And I'm going to write down that ice cream shop because maybe I'd also like to go back in summertime. I've heard it's beautiful then. And so I will be back and I will try your ice cream and I'm sure I will love it.
Josh and John's Ice Cream on their website. Indulge in the home of the best ice cream Colorado, I guess, has to offer. That's kind of cut off.
My only complaint was the altitude, man.
Yeah, I mentioned the last time you mentioned it.
I'm mentioning it again because it was that much of a problem for me. It was like it wasn't just like it was tough to get
running
my
must have been
there.
terrible.
I mean, and you're on a mountain, so there's hills in every direction, basically. Like, I actually wish there was a camera on me the very first morning when I was running there. I go to the concierge, as I often would anywhere, and I was like, "Hey, like, is there any good running routes around here?" And he's like, "Yeah, just go out here, make a left and another left, and just basically keep making a left and go around the whole property." And like, I go out and it's like, it's fine. And then I make a left and it's like straight up. And it literally was like uphill for a kilometer straight. It was icy. The roads weren't cleared. There's no sidewalks. Like, and I'm like breathing. Anyway, it made me feel very unathletic.
Oh man. I mean, that just sounds like
there was a good downhill after that, but still, like,
at least
I just wish you could see how much I was struggling for that kilometer up. It was not a pretty sight.
Would you ever do like a vlog style thing for the next time you do a run? Like one of those like get ready with me videos where it's all like, "Hey, I'm Chris Johnston. And this is
I would do that. I don't know how to do it.
You should do it.
But I would do it.
Just like film yourself like getting ready throughout the day and be like, so I'm an insider. This is what I do. And when I have this amount of time in the day, I know I can do a run for however long. You just film yourself running, just sweating.
There's a girl I follow now on Instagram and she interviews famous people and goes on a run with them.
Oh, no way.
And like the interviews are done on the run.
Do you think I think you're famous enough to be on that person's Instagram?
No, she's getting like, she did one with like Rory McIlroy. Like she's doing like,
never mind.
She's getting like actual celebrities. I mean, I can't say I know everybody that comes on there, but anyway, it's a good concept. And the first question she asks everyone is, "How far are we running today?" Which is good.
That's a good one. Anyway,
I am way off topic, but yeah, I like.
No, I love it. I love it.
I like her content. I think her name's Katie. I can't remember her last name. Anyway, shout out Katie. Keep it going.
Shout out Katie. K-Town 2272 wants to know how many Canucks will be on the next edition of the trade board.
Whew. I would say we had 2 on this version, Kiefer Sherwood and Evander Kane. I would say we'll be up to about 4, probably. Some of that will depend on, we kind of expand the board as we go. The first version had 25 names. The one that came out just before the holiday roster freeze had 32 names. You know, my bosses want me to get to 50 and 75 names as we get closer to the, it's a lot of work, frankly. But I would think we'll have probably about 4 Canucks on the next one. The biggest question, and I don't know, honestly, right now he's not on it, but I just wonder what happens with Thatcher Demko. Like if they make him available, that would be very, very interesting. But if not, it will just be the sort of names you'd expect. Like they're veteran forwards that they've been shopping for a while. I think that they're still looking to turn things over, even though they did have a bump of success there prior to Christmas time.
Next question is essentially a pop quiz for you, CJ, from Dakota. Can you both list your favorite all-time players for each Canadian team? And yes, a Jet is a Jet. Don't go naming a Thrasher. Thanks, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays to all.
I love that. A Jet is a Jet. Don't go naming a Thrasher.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like your favorite all-time. I guess the standard doesn't mean it has to be the best player.
It's your favorite all-time.
Like I'll probably be thinking of... So I'm going to be taking us back a generation when I was a fan, probably, for the most part. I'll go west to east. My favorite Canuck is going to be Trevor Linden.
Oh, I love that pick.
He's always a classy guy. Never really got to know him that well. Like our paths did cross over the years a bit, but remember really liking him as a kid. My favorite Oilers, Wayne Gretzky. I have a retro. It's funny because they're no longer retro because they wear the jerseys like them now, but I have a blue and orange 80s style Gretzky jersey that I actually got at Christmas, one of my cherished Christmas gifts as a kid, but still hangs in my closet. Favorite Calgary Flame, Jerome McGinley. I mean, I'm not going to overthink it. Jerome was all class. Favorite Winnipeg Jet. I'm going to go with Olli Jokinen.
Ooh. What?
I remember having a really...
That is not what I expected.
I remember having a really funny exchange with Olli in the early days of Jets 2.0 at their rink there. And Olli was just a character. He cracked me up. And
that's funny.
I was at the first ever Jets 2.0 game though, when they played Montreal, and many of their early games was with them in the playoffs when they got to the Western Conference Final. So I got a lot of affinity for Winnipeg. So I'm not actually making fun of you with that pick. I actually just, Olli Jokinen's my favorite Jet.
Love it.
My favorite Maple Leaf, Doug Gilmour. He was the man when I was a kid. He had a couple epic playoff runs, and what I liked about him, I was playing in hockey at the time. Like he was a smaller guy that, like, he just didn't quit. Like no matter what kind of, how much physical abuse he took in a game, he just like found a way to be a difference maker. He's obviously in the Hall of Fame, so good choice there. My favorite Ottawa Senator, Daniel Alfredson.
Yeah,
always loved Daniel on and off ice. Got to know him a little bit over the years and dealt with him, and just a class act and a guy, 6th round pick who, went on to have a pretty spectacular career. And to me, he is the Ottawa Senators, like in my mind. I know that it's been some time now since he stopped playing, but he's my favorite Senator. My favorite Montreal Canadian, I'm going to say Colby Armstrong.
Oh, wow.
Colby's a good buddy of mine. And I know I think he only had one season in Montreal, but I know he loved it. And so Colby's my guy in Montreal.
I saw Colby Armstrong last week, and he chirped me a little bit because the Penguins were in town for Sens game. I was doing a radio hit in one of the booths, and Colby comes in. He was like, "Hey, I wanted to say hi, but you're sitting in the front row. You're one of those guys, huh?" I was like, "Oh my god." Colby's great, Ryan. Love him.
All right, are you going to do your favorite players? You've had a little more time to think, so.
Yeah, exactly. Trevor Linden, I honestly was thinking of him for the Vancouver one because we have the same birthday. I was honestly thinking of him for that one.
Yeah, we don't have to be original. I mean, there's nothing original about me picking Jerome McGinley or Daniel Alfredson. You know what I mean? Those are...
I mean, Jerome McGinley was... Anyway, I don't want to spoil all the picks, but like, you know what? I'm going to say Daniel Sedin. One of my favorite memories growing up as a kid was being at this like high school party, and there's this like Canucks Flames game on. I don't know if you remember that like play that Henrik and Daniel set up together where Henrik has does like a between the legs pass, and it goes to Sedin. He finishes between the legs. That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And just imagine like a room of like high school kids just like losing their minds at a high school party at like 11:30 at night. So I'll give it to Daniel and Henrik. They will both share that honor. I'm okay with Connor McDavid being my favorite Oiler. I mean, dude's sick. Jerome McGinley is my pick for favorite Flame of all time. Also just genuinely one of my favorite players of all time. Favorite Winnipeg Jet? I'm okay with Teemu Selanne getting this. He has one of the greatest celebrations of all time, the duck shot. Favorite Maple Leaf of all time? Matt Sundin. Just one of the best leaders of the 2000s.
Steady Swede.
Doug Gilmour was a consideration for favorite Montreal Canadiens player of all time.
Wow.
One of my favorite highlights is when
he smashed
he played, smashes the penalty box door. Love that. I'll give it to PK Subban instead. Favorite Ottawa Senator? I liked Chair growing up. Marty Havlat. Marian Hossa's right there. Ooh, I'll just give it to Daniel Alfredson. He was great.
So you didn't have any funny picks. You brought just Hart. You didn't mix in an Ole Jokinen or a Colby Armstrong.
Here's the thing. Doug Gilmour would have been my funny pick, but I'm lying to myself, man. I know who I like.
You grew up in Montreal. You gotta. I get that.
I love that one.
I'll say this though. One of my favorite games is when I'm with my buddies is thinking of random guys who played for a team. I don't know why.
Man. I don't have enough friends who do that.
I find it hilarious. Honestly, we do it a lot in the CJ show chat, frankly.
We do.
I never don't like it. It's one of my favorite games.
Yeah. I'm starting to realize maybe you guys are the only friend group I have that would do that type of game, because I have a lot of friends who don't watch hockey as closely as I would. So I wouldn't go to them and be like, hey, do you remember the time Ben Scrivens was a Montreal Canadiens backup for half a season? And then you just go on down. Yeah.
See, this is the cool thing you're going to get to, because first of all, you will always have a friend group in our chat to do. We will always appreciate those references, even if the friends you see day to day a little more often don't. But now that you're covering teams, you're going to remember random guys. You're going to remember guys that got called up. You might have written a story about them or whatever, and then they kind of just never went anywhere. And then 10 years are going to pass, and you're going to be able to recall those. And people are going to be like, you sicko. And I'm like, yeah, because I lived that life.
Dude, I'm at a point now where I do that, but also I think of, and it's a very small list right now, players who have played in multiple markets I've covered them in.
Right.
That I can't wait for that list to grow longer. Dennis Gilbert is in, this is the second time I'm getting to cover him. Tyler Toffoli is also on that list. I think Nick Cousins technically is on that list. Stuff like that. I'm going to remember stuff like that.
Well, I covered the lost generation of Leafs hockey every day. And so obviously when a team's struggling, more players cycle through the organization. So I could win. I mean, Steve Dangle and I could have an interesting game. Who could name the most random Leafs? Because I think Steve ultimately wins. This guy has recorded an LFR after 19 years worth of games, but I covered a lot of those games and I knew a lot of the people and I could throw an Alexander Suglobov at him and he'll be like, oh, I forgot about that one.
What the hell? Who is that?
That's a real player, buddy. Look it up.
Before I get to one more question, what was the exercise you had Steve do in the chat a couple weeks ago where you were going back on Leafs goalies?
I think I asked him, I'm trying to remember what the draw, it was how many goalies the Leafs have had. Oh, since the monster, since Jonas Gustafsson.
And
I think the number, this problem is, I think the number was 25 exactly. And then I went back and I listed them all and I wanted to see how many Steve could get, without cheating, just going through it. I think he got 21 of 25.
Which is,
and there's one hard one in there because a guy by the name of Jet Alexander got into 1 minute of a game as an e-bug for the Leafs. So he counts as one of the 25. So if you're a really hardcore fan, you're not just thinking of you're not just cycling through the standard guys, Peter Mrazek was a Leafs goalie or whatever. You got to think of this guy who played 1 minute. Shout out Jet Alexander. I interviewed him at the time.
His Wikipedia page has he made his NHL debut on April 8th, 2023 for the Leafs after substituting for goaltender Ilya Samsonov with 1:10 remaining in the third period against the Montreal Canadiens.
And then I think he had to write an exam the next day at U of T. I actually called him and did a story on him, not a full story, but I did a little blurb on him. I think I was working at the Toronto Star at the time. Anyway.
Anyway, I'll go back on that. Jake wants to know, why is Jordan Binnington a lock for the Olympics?
Because he's won a Game 7 and he's won a Four Nations face-off in the final, and because Canada can't trust anybody else.
Should he, though?
Yes. I mean,
okay.
You want guys who've shown they can do it when the chips are down. If Canada had the U.S.'s goaltending and Jordan Binnington, and Jordan had his resume, but you had like Swayman and Ottinger and even Demko, obviously Hellebuck. Like, if you have guys that are legit top of the league, multiple players, I think it's a different conversation. I say this with respect. I know Logan Thompson's had 2 nice years here, but Canada doesn't have, like, there's not a lot of choices here, man. And so I think Jordan's experience does get him there. I also think he probably starts the first game. I just don't know if he carries the mail through the whole tournament.
A few more questions for you here. The Kelly wants to know if you've gotten a running stroller yet.
I have not, but it's on the list. And right now the list is incredibly long, man. I got to tell you,
about the list.
You can't even believe how much stuff I have to do. Like, I don't know how we are going to bring a kid into the world, but it's going to happen. You have no idea. Like, I'm telling you, I didn't even know what I didn't know, but there's so much crap you got to get.
What is like beyond a running stroller? What's like one thing you can't wrap your head around when it comes to like ensuring that
the whole friggin' thing, man? Like, I don't know how any of this works. But I'm just saying,
I should laugh, but
no. The other thing is our baby's due in February, and so I don't anticipate I'll be running with a newborn in winter because it's not practical. So I kind of feel like I have until the spring to figure out the stroller, but I'm very much looking forward to it because I do think it's one thing I could do to give, and there's many other things. I don't mean it's the only thing I can do to give Lindsay a break, but I can give her a break when, if I can go for a run and I get this kid used to being in the stroller. And so, like, we leave the house for an hour or whatever and go do my thing, and she can do whatever she wants at that time. So I'm very much planning on, if you're listening to this and you know there's a good one, and I mean like a really good one, please at me, because I don't know what the best running stroller is. But I'm willing to spend real money on this because obviously I run a lot. It's my main passion. And I've run with a bad running stroller. Actually, my brother-in-law, at one point we did a run at his house and I pushed his kid in it, and it was hard work. Like, it was like that thing didn't roll that well. So like, it was actually like, it was hard work. So if there's any that like are exceptionally good where they almost you just basically touch them, that would be ideal. Thank you. I'm crowdsourcing my, all the things I'm cramming here in this last few weeks before becoming a dad.
If you've gotten to this point of the episode, at the end, please tag reporter Chris on Twitter and send your best running stroller recommendations, or anything to do with babies.
No,
please do that.
I've gotten so much advice, and it always comes from a good place, and I appreciate it. But that's the other thing they don't warn you, man. All of a sudden, my Instagram algorithm is like all parent stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, it's weird. Like, I never searched. I promise you, I never went on Instagram and searched like dad tips, but all of a sudden that's all I get served up with. And you can't believe, you get inundated with information. Anyway,
it's not going to change.
What I take heat in is that somehow for hundreds of thousands of years, humans have been doing this. Like, I'm not the first one that I just think you figure it out that's what I'm banking on. So,
next one from Aaron Stone. When you think of the holidays, what drink comes to mind first?
Eggnog.
Yeah. Eggnog. I'm not an eggnog person.
Yeah.
I get why, and I've had it.
I haven't had it in years, but we used to get it. Like, the reason I think of it is because my dad would often get it for us at the holidays. He always cut it with milk, like, because it's pretty sweet. If you just take it straight up, like, it's legit, but he would sort of like mix milk in to kind of dilute it a little bit. But it was a treat we got around the holidays. But I can't say as an adult, I literally don't know the last time I've had eggnog. It's probably been a decade or more. So, but it's what I think of though. It's like, I guess it would be that or the champagne and orange juice, which,
exactly,
either or.
Yeah. When we're at dinner with my fam, we'll have like red wine and stuff like that.
Do you have a boozy holidays?
It can get boozy.
Yeah. Mine's pretty boozy. Especially because I'm boozing for like I'm the only one who can booze now, right?
Yeah.
Like I've had a DD the whole month for like any social event we've gone to. So I'm thinking dry January might be in order. I did it last year and I actually quite enjoyed it. So
yeah, depending on what relatives I'm around, like especially when I was like a lot younger, like my great uncle will like go down to his bar and he'll get me like some kind of like Johnny Walker or stuff like that. Like my family, like we're not like crushing beers, like we're crushing like good rum, you know, other types of alcohol. Like I do like a good Appleton Estate.
Ooh.
You know, my grandma loves Grand Marnier. Like we mix a lot of different things. Like
that's fun though.
We get going on that.
Because this is what I'm saying. I'm not going out like partying. It's just like it just feels like a lot of frequent low level boozing, which when you add it up is like, okay, that was a lot of boozing, if that makes sense.
Yes. Last one for you. Merry Christmas, you two. Love the pod. This is from JoJo. If you were to pick one of the following Western Conference bottom 10 teams to make the most significant changes to their roster before the March trade deadline, who would it be? They're asking us to pick between St. Louis, Seattle, or Nashville.
Ooh. That's an educated question. Because I think those are the three teams most likely to be quite active. I think Seattle's going to be the most active of those teams. The difference between Seattle, Nashville, and St. Louis is Seattle has a lot of pending UFAs. And so the types of players they have, first of all, like they were in an absolute tailspin heading into the holiday break. They need a holiday break.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. But the second part is that they have a lot of what I call, you know, we saw the Marchment deal right before the freeze kicked into Columbus. I just think they have a lot of players that are relatively easy to move. Whereas, you know, there's big questions in Nashville and St. Louis, and there's some big names that are on the trade board from those teams. But, you know, the Stamkos and Marchessaults and, you know, some of the, like, it's Buchnevich and St. Louis, like, these are not easy contracts to move. I'm not saying it's impossible, but, you know, I think Seattle is most likely of those three teams to really make some headlines here before March 6th.
And with that, that's going to do it for our Ask CJ episode during this holiday time. We're going to get back to sitting on our couches, boozing, and enjoying what's left of the Christmas holiday. CJ, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Yeah, bud. Same to you, and enjoy the World Juniors. That's another holiday tradition that
That's another one. That's a big one. Arguably the biggest one of all.
Long before I worked at TSN, that was something I loved legitimately and still love it legitimately. And I've never had to cover it, which some people might say that's a bad thing, but I wouldn't want to be away at the holidays. But so bless everyone who's out there bringing us those games and all that, because they're away from their families at a time of year I wouldn't want to be.
I did that last year, and I legit had to like drive home on Christmas night and then got to work on Boxing Day the next day. But that was one of the cooler experiences I've had in my career covering that tournament in Ottawa last year. That was super awesome. Even if it did come down to the Americans winning it, that was still a really cool team to follow.
You kidding? They were awesome. They were great.
They were awesome. Yeah, like I'm not like just being neutral here. Like the Americans, that team with the personalities, guys like Cole Hudson and Zeev Bouillon was on that team too. So many cool stories, so many cool players. James Hagan's on that team too. Like that was a really fun team to cover.
A lot of pressure on Canada though this time around with 2 straight quarterfinal exits. Like I even noticed like Mark Masters is out there, my buddy Mark, just grilling these kids. Like they're, and I love you, Mark. But like seriously, like they're getting
fed
like,
up with Mark.
Are you guys going to atone for the sins of the last 2 years? Like
they're just kids.
I know. And then
Zane Parekh, what are you going to do?
Some of them are returning players, but there's only a handful, right? It's not really their fault, but
yeah,
I guess it's the same way that someone might ask a Maple Leafs player or whatever, what's it like to play for a team that hasn't won in 60 years? I mean, even though you got nothing to do with it, you start to feel the weight of it one way or another.
How much do you think we'll talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2026?
Well, you like to dust off the Leafs corner. So I mean, a lot. I mean, they're always, they get a disproportionate amount of time probably everywhere in hockey media, but definitely on our show compared to other teams. But also they're entering this period where like, who knows what's going to happen. So, I mean, they've flat out stunk for the first part of the season. So, there's big changes potentially afoot. And so I think that those two things, the fact that we'd be talking about them anyway, but then that there could be some big news or some big decisions looming, probably even more.
And with that, great work as always, Siege. Enjoy the rest of your holiday time. And thank you to everybody who tapped in to the CJ show during the holidays throughout 2025. And we'll chat to you all very, very soon. Merry Christmas.
The Chris Johnston Show. Follow Chris on Twitter @ReporterChris and follow Julian @JKA McKenzie.
The Chris Johnston Show.